what does Newton's law of gravity, namely the Poisson's law, look like in an accelerating coordinate system?
Mm-hmm.
Einstein works that through, comes up with the Einstein equations, and they give him two things. They give him, one is Newton's law, and they give the v squared over c squared correction. And then that is tested in the perihelion of Mercury and in the gravitational bending of light. However, I hate to say this, it's phenomenology, because he starts out with del squared phi equals rho and works his way up to general relativity. But why would he choose? Where did del squared phi equals rho come from? Only from the experience that we previously had of Newton's law of gravity. So it's not deriving Newton's law of gravity. It's actually finding a generalization of it, which would hold in an accelerating coordinate system. And that was the steps. Those were the steps he took. Now,
just a moment. I have a quick question. Okay,
please.
So what's wrong with already knowing where you want to end up and then thinking, okay, I need to make my theory such that in some appropriate limit, I need to end there? That actually sounds like good physics, because it's like, we know this guy works approximately for the majority of cases.
Yes.
We should get there.
Okay. What I'm saying is it's on a different conceptual footing than the equivalence principle, general coordinate invariance, the metric is the gravitational field, the Riemann tensor, when it's non-zero, means there is a gravitational field. All of that is generic. The Einstein equations are specific, and they're constructed to do a specific thing, which you're absolutely right. At that time, that was the specific thing he wanted to do. There's no question about that. However, we run into a problem, and the problem is that people look at the Einstein theory as a package. Namely, they don't distinguish between accelerating observers and gravitational field. And they are different because even if there's no gravity, you can accelerate in the presence of an electromagnetic field. And in fact, electromagnetic fields cause accelerations. So they all have to work. So he picks on the second order Poisson equation because that was the one that was there. And when it works, everybody said the theory of gravity is solved. But what I'm trying to show you is that there was a flaw, not necessarily a super flaw, but there was a step in the reasoning that wasn't as secure as everything else. Now, what have we done when he does this? We call what he did general relativity. But that's not a fair description, because special relativity means invariance under Lorentz transformations. It doesn't mean any specific equation of motion. So general relativity should mean invariance under general coordinate invariance with the metric being the gravitational field. That's what it should mean. It should not mean and the gravitational field obeys the Einstein equations. But because he did the two at once and because it worked, everybody takes the view that you can't touch anything.
Curt here. Note that if you'd rather listen to Toe, we're on Spotify, iTunes, everywhere with a podcast catcher. You can just search my name or Theories of Everything. And also, remember to hit subscribe.
Now, let me show you immediately where it can go wrong. And the question is, where did we get Poisson's law from? Well, Newton gives us a 1 over r potential. And del squared phi is rho. The solution's 1 over r. Well, suppose I gave you del 4 phi equals rho. The fourth order derivative equation. The solution is a 1 over r plus an r. If I give you del 6 phi equals rho, I get a 1 over r, an r, and an r cubed. In other words, Newton's law of motion 1 over r is not uniquely tied to the second order Poisson equation. But all those other terms, the ones that grow like r or grow like r cubed, aren't important for the solar system because the solar system was still very short distance. So those terms could always have been there and you wouldn't know from looking at the solar system.
Right.
It's when we go to galaxies and we jump up by a factor of 1,000 that all of a sudden the question is, does Newton's law of gravity continue to hold untouched? Or is there something else going on which we usually call dark matter? We meet dark matter in the regime where we did not derive the Einstein equations in the first place. Namely, it was geared to the solar system. But what Einstein does by generalizing it to the Einstein equations, it then becomes the Einstein equations on every scale, and not just on the solar system. Now, this objection was raised by Eddington in about 1920. He pointed out, he said, look, you can get the Einstein equations by varying what's called the Einstein-Hilbert action, which is just the Ricci scalar. He says, well, you can also get them from varying the Ricci scalar squared. But you get these extra terms. So there was nothing unique about the second-order Poisson equation. And I've been arguing for a long time now that if you want to make the claim that the universe is full to the brim with dark matter, you have to find some fundamental principle that would tell you why you should be using the second-order Poisson equation. And that's the challenge. And so that's where I think there's a difficulty in the theory. I'm not saying that the universe isn't full of dark matter. I mean, that doesn't follow from what I've said so far. But nonetheless, there is this loophole in the way that Einstein gravity is constructed. So it's a theory which tells you, I have a very specific equation of motion, and that's the one that you use, and that's the one that gives you Newton's law. But what I'm arguing is Newton's law was built into it. It's output if you had some other reason to use the Einstein equations. But as long as the way Einstein built it up, as far as I can see, is Newton's law of Poisson's law and Newton's law were input. Now, can we change the Einstein equations? Well, of course, everybody, including Einstein, changed the Einstein equations by adding on a cosmological constant. So from the very beginning, Einstein was saying, well, the theory is not unique. I can add on extra terms. The one he added on was the cosmological constant, which has had one of the most checkered histories of anything in physics. But the fact that he was able to do it meant that what he was working with was not unique.
Right.
If it were unique, then you either would be able to add it or not. You would know. But he didn't. Because the Einstein equations were not unique, that left open the possibility of adding on a constant lambda, which is the cosmological constant that Einstein himself did, or adding on the Ricci scalar squared, which is what Eddington did. So there's a lack of uniqueness. And if my view is that we have to resolve this lack of uniqueness one way or the other, and that will tell us whether we should be living in a universe with dark matter and dark energy and so on.